What's up, and welcome to the second episode of the Pink Cancer Podcast. My name is Dan Trementozzi. I'm the founder and executive director of Pink Cancer, and I'm joined today with a group of people, a very special group of people, the Piper family and Chrissy Davis. I had the pleasure of connecting with Chrissy before the season, and we talked, about Pink Cancer, and the conversation kind of snowballed into her telling me that somebody on their team was personally affected and battling cancer. And we have him here today. His name is Jack Piper. How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
Doing
well.
well, thank you.
So let's dive right in. And I guess, Chrissy, this question will be for you. Something that we want to really tell the audience, and the reason why we're starting a podcast is just to spread awareness. But how did you hear about Pink Cancer?
So we were up at Super 32. And so I was walking around, and it was actually, I think we were in between matches or something, and that's when I saw your little booth. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was weird. It was like this divine intervention or something happened where it was like, okay, this just flashed at me at the right time, because I'm like, everything lined up. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because I think when I met you, I was like, we actually just found out about Jack.
Wow.
And so as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah, I remember that. So we go to a lot of events. Obviously, Super 32 is a great one. It pulls, kids from all over the country, and super happy to be part of that tournament. Sarah, who runs the tournament, and just Super 32, they're so great in terms of partnering with, and they let us sit up there for free. So, this year we haven't been down there in years, to be honest. It's probably been 7 years since I had a booth down there. So what are the chances that, I got to meet you, and this kind of snowballed into what the team was able to do. So, we spoke while we were down there at the booth, and I kind of explained how things work. And I think maybe one of the questions you asked me was, where does the money go? And that's always it's not a tough question for us, but it's somewhat hard to explain, because we do have a handful of beneficiaries. But something that we introduced new, just last year was we want to help people and specifically wrestling families that are affected firsthand by cancer. And you shared that with me right away, and I said, yes, absolutely. Let's donate the proceeds to for this particular fundraiser that your team set up to Jack and his family, because I think that's really important. Sometimes, funds get lost in the mix if they go from us to another cancer organization, or from us, to one of our beneficiaries. And then the impact almost kind of gets watered down a little bit. But when you're donating directly to a family, I think the impact is bigger impact, right? So do you want to touch on how the fundraising has gone? Like, what was the team? Was the team, excited to get behind Jack and their family with this, or how did you approach it?
So it was going through, just making sure all the T's were crossed and the ducks were, the I's were dotted, talking to the administration, athletics, making sure that, we're going about this the right way. Always representing our school in the best light possible. And so I talked to our head coach about it. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Like, we have to do this, because when I saw it, and then you think of the family in general. So Danny runs our Junior Titan program, and Jack is such a huge impact as well on that program. And I will tell you, as somebody who's been around wrestling for 10 years, before the season started, my son comes home and he's like, okay, this is everybody who's going to state. Mm-hmm. And I remember him looking, and Jack's name was up there, and he's like, Jack's definitely going. We've got him there, and he has the whole lineup. And so I remember coming home and actually telling him, because I didn't say anything at Super 32, so my son had no idea about Jack until after the tournament. And I remember telling him, and he just went completely silent. And the first thing he said is, why him? Mm-hmm. Like, just why? And the Piper family has just meant so much to the wrestling program at Blessed Trinity that it just fell into place. And so when I talked to the kids, everybody was enthusiastic. Everyone, a lot of kids set up their own team. A lot of kids set up their donations. And I think we raised close to 5,000 within like a month and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And we're still going.
Yep.
And I know for a fact, like I know it from watching the team this year and just kind of seeing things. Jack is one of the most exciting wrestlers to watch. Like I love watching Jack because he's gritty. Like that's the first thing. I looked at my son and I go, "What would you say? What was the first word you'd say to describe Jack as a wrestler?" And he goes, "Gritty." He's just gritty. Like he's one of those wrestlers that like you miss watching him this season only because he's like the one that when I say he wrestles until the buzzer, he wrestles until after the buzzer, regardless of what the score is. So it's always fun because you're looking at some of these newer kids and we're in a rebuild year and you're just like, you can tell that you can sense that you're missing Jack because he was so good with those lower weight classes. Because when you watch him, you learn like you never stop wrestling and you fight and fight and fight. And so everything kind of just clicked with the team and how we, like the whole wrestling community just kind of came around this quote idea of pinning for Piper.
Yep.
Made
Yeah.
sense.
So let's talk to Jack and family, and anyone feel free to chime in. But really, the reason why we're having this podcast is we want to share your story, Jack, and what you've just experienced over the past couple months, and um, you know um, really again, well, the reason behind having these conversations is hopefully to help someone else that might be in a similar situation, and that your team rallied behind you. I think we're about $8,000 that they've raised so far, which is awesome. And this is exactly what we want to do. This is the impact that we want to see. So do you want to dive in and share your story, maybe go back a couple months and kind of share what you went through?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it was about like May of 2024. I woke up one day and I just had like my neck was just sore and I just had like a lump on my neck. Like it wasn't there the day before and just like appeared. And I was like, okay. Like I had mono before and I was like, this could just be like mono again or like a bad strep throat or something like that. So we go to the doctor, we get it checked out, put me on like standard like medicines for everything. Nothing works. They keep like switching up like antibiotics, steroids, whatever throughout like the next following months until like August, September area. Then I think it was late September-ish. I had a biopsy done on it. So they took a part of it out and tested it. And then I think it was early October or
Sounds
like
right.
late
Yep.
September, early October that it came back that it was cancer. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma. So it's not the worst one. Um, but we went and talked with more doctors and more doctors and more doctors. Um, and then we got PET scans, all the heart tests, everything that I needed for chemo and everything. Scans came back showing stage 1, so that was really, really, really nice. Meant about 4 months of chemo with PET scan about halfway through just to check how it was going, and then possibly no radiation, and that has been confirmed because of the most recent PET scan. So after these next 3 chemos, I'll be done. So our doctor, she had the chemo spaced out every 2 weeks. The first chemo was pretty rough. Um, I went, got it done. I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then a couple hours later, I had a fever and I was back in the ER
Mm.
and the hospital. I think they kept me there. I don't think I actually got admitted that day. They just kept me in the ER for a little while, and I think we came back around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. So that was a rough night. Then the next few days was just having to deal with what my symptoms were going to be for forever. So um, lots of mouth sores and muscle aches, which are not the best.
Mm.
Um, they're pretty bad. But they went away, and then I'd have a couple of days that I'd feel pretty good, and that was a relief. Then my 2 weeks would come back around, and it'd start all over again. The second time, I was actually admitted to the hospital after going back. I think my like blood pressure dropped down to like really, 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 really low, is like 60 over 40, which is horrible. Um, and after that, they kept me in the hospital for a while, pumped me full of fluids. Um,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, so I had chemo the day before Thanksgiving. So that was kind of a letdown because in our family, Thanksgiving's pretty big. Like all our cousins come in and everything. And I was pretty excited for just to see everybody again, I guess. But had chemo the day before Thanksgiving, and then I had an interesting Thanksgiving. It was just me and my mom. I think we had burgers. So
Mhm.
that was the first one, yeah. hmm Um, Thanksgiving, and then one more chemo right before finals week. So for this chemo, they decided to admit me to the hospital beforehand and just keep me there overnight, so I wouldn't have to ER in the morning. And that's a lot. It kept the fever from coming back and everything. So there wasn't really any like danger of infection or anything that really like helped them, I guess. Help me go home. Um, then we had the PET scan, which I guess I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I also wanted to know how much time I had left. So when that came back good, I was pretty happy. Um,
I'd say so. It's good
yeah,
news.
it really was. And then after that, I think I've had one more chemo, which went pretty well. The symptoms weren't horrible. They pumped me full of fluids and meds afterwards, which kept stuff from popping up really, really badly. So yeah.
I'm gonna chime in for a second. One of the things that was important, I think, for Jack is he had this- so he's got a port put in, and that accesses his heart, and they can basically pump fluids directly into his bloodstream there. The day before he had his port put in was the first day of wrestling practice. So he goes out and he goes to wrestling practice that first day,
My season.
and that was his
Yep.
season.
But I gotta touch the mat, so
Yeah.
So you got one good day in, and
Yep.
that was it.
One good day.
One good day, and then he will hopefully be done about the same time the season's over.
Yep.
So his fight this season has been a different battle than one on the
Right.
mat. But it's definitely one that he's approached almost with the same vigor that he approaches his wrestling matches. I remember when Jenny and I got the news that he had cancer. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and we bring Jack outside because we weren't ready to share it with his siblings yet. And we're like, well, Jack, the biopsy came back, and you have cancer. And you want to show him what you did when you. He raises his hand as in a victory type scenario, because at least he knew who his opponent was.
Sure.
Previous to that, we really did not know exactly what was going on. We'd been trying to find out for like 4 or 5 months what was
Yeah.
going on. And so just knowing now that we had an opponent to attack and to go and to fight against, I thought was a big change in our mentality. I've also had that those first 2 weeks for parents who have to go through this, and you find out your kid has cancer. Those are the worst 2 weeks I think that we've had. And I've spoken to other parents who've had kids with cancer, and some of them have passed away even. They've told me that those are the hardest 2 weeks because of the fact that you're waiting to meet your oncologist for the first time, and you really are just in complete unknown.
Hmm.
And that was, we knew we had an opponent, but we knew nothing about that opponent at that point. And so that was, for a parent, that I thought was my toughest. I don't know how Jack's experience with that was, but
I was kind of just waiting. I don't think my attitude would have changed one way or another. I think I would have done the exact same thing that I would have done, whether it was stage 1, stage 4, different type of cancer. So,
Well, Dad, thanks for hopping in and you talk
Sure.
about the wrestling mindset. It sounds like you're definitely, Chris, you mentioned people describe you as gritty, and I can hear it in your voice. Like it's like you're not going down without a fight. And this is something that we talk about all the time within wrestling. And we have the best sport, right? So
Absolutely.
essentially, what it comes down to is the mindset. And I don't know if you guys follow the wrestling mindset guys, the Zanetti brothers. They're actually from up by me in Jersey, and I've known them for a long time. And I did their podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we had an hour-long conversation about like how important your mindset is, specifically as it relates to something like this. Skylar and I just had a conversation yesterday, and it comes up in every single conversation when you talk to other wrestlers and people in the wrestling community. They put such a weight on our mindset and the ability to be like, I'm not giving up. Like this isn't something that this sport teaches. And I'm really happy to hear that that's the way you approached it. And I think it sounds like the family approached it that way. And I couldn't imagine getting news like that as a father. I could, those 2 weeks sound like the worst 2 weeks ever. And, but now it sounds like most of that or all of it is now behind you guys. And now you have an off season that's going to be coming up shortly, and you have another year, right? You're going to be a senior next year.
Yep.
That's awesome. And what weight you wrestling?
I was gonna wrestle 144 this year,
Okay.
but then I lost 20 pounds. So next year will probably be 138.
You'll bulk up. It'll probably come back. Yeah, for sure. Now you guys are new. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the coach has got him down. So we've got a board with all the wrestlers on it, and on the black, it puts the wrestler's name in, and if they're injured or something like that or out for the time. So they've got Jack's name. It started at 144, and now it's down at 132 as his weight class. But I think it's great that he's included as a wrestler on the board right now.
That's cool. It's not something to laugh at, but when my mom was diagnosed, she was going through chemo, the same thing. I would bring her often. I was probably 22, 23 years old, and we go to the hospital, I'd sit with her, and so I do know what that's like, and it took a toll on her for sure. But I remember her jokingly making a comment like, well, I needed to lose some weight, and this is probably the best way to do it. So she lost a lot of weight and battled for about 5 years. And I remember her, I think you have to make jokes like that along the way and kind of lighten up, because it is a serious thing. And it's obviously not fun. So when you can make light of something small like that, it's definitely funny. So I got a question to ask you. Like, how did the team react to obviously the news, but when you guys presented Pink Cancer to them, like, was it something that everybody got behind? Is it something that they wanted to do? Obviously, I think the answer is probably yes, but I want to hear from you guys.
So when I told my partner, who is also one of my best friends, I told him, he thought I was joking at first, but eventually believed me. And I think like days after that, he had gotten everybody together to shave their heads. So the entire team went, and they even wrangled some of the regular students to get it like behind it. And they all went outside behind the school, and we had a couple of like trimmers and like head shavers, whatever, and everyone shaved their heads. So that was really cool. Although it was a little weird seeing a bunch of bald people walking around the school, but you could tell who was a wrestler because of that.
Yeah.
But that was really cool to see, because that was about when I like actually kicked in for like losing all my hair, because like I'm bald. But it was really cool. So I gotta do that with them, and that was really great. And then I think they got pretty behind Pin Cancer, I believe. I think they were pretty hyped for it. So yeah.
So I'm gonna chime in again and give Chrissy a lot of credit here. She knew we were going through this process, and our focus really has been on the treatment more so than anything. And she's spearheaded the entire process with the interaction with Pink Cancer. And the reality is, as a parent, we wouldn't have been in a position to have
Sure.
done that. So that's been a huge blessing for us. It's been a huge blessing for the community, I think, as well. And I think, they kind of have kept us a little bit in the dark, I believe, but I'm okay with that because I think it relieves a little bit of the worry or stress that might come along with the involvement.
Sure.
Is what I would say. But I would also add that our interactions with you via email that we've had have all been very positive and very very supportive. And so definitely thank you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In fact, my wife is modeling the
Rocking the
Cancer
tee.
shirt right now, rocking it in that. Yeah.
Looks good. Love it. Yeah, Chrissy, I'll definitely echo that. You know, she, I talk to a lot of people, and sometimes I think the second time we talked, I was like in my car or something, and I was picking my kids up, and I'm like, remind me again, like, where did we talk and what are we doing, and you know, how are we raising these funds? So yeah, definitely kudos to you, and that's exactly what we need, because I can't do that from a distance, and you know, Chrissy was definitely all over it. It's all good. Yeah, I have, you know, kids that are screaming in the background. I can't believe you can't hear them, because I can actually hear them through my mic, but maybe it's not getting picked up.
It's actually the people who come from BT.
Oh.
They were just there. They had award ceremonies for fall sports. So,
but what I was getting at was like, we need to find more people like Chrissy, because you know, even with the teams that just get involved in general just to raise funds, and they might not have anyone in particular that they're raising funds, they just want to do it through their school to do a good thing. You know, it's typically a wrestling mom or a wrestling dad, or possibly a coach that really organizes all of it. And, you know, I can think of, off the top of my head, I can probably name like 10 of them throughout the country that I know personally that have just taken the initiative. So, how's the fundraising going, and do you guys have anything planned next?
so it's going. I mean, we just did another push after Christmas. I think with the holidays, things just kind of get a little chaotic for everybody. So we're doing another big push, but 10,000 is our next goal. And we're going to keep pushing for more and more. But our last home match is actually on the 22nd of January, and that'll be our Penn Cancer Night. So it's also our senior night, and we just have one duel that night. So we're going to kind of make it exciting. But the big excitement, I think, is going to come when Jack gets on the mat next year. That's going to be our goal next year, is to really make that. I have big plans, but sometimes plans have to kind of be, you know, I think it would be awesome to do his match back on the lacrosse field, put a mat outside, have, you know, a big, huge thing, a big, you know, attention to the program, attention to Jack, attention to Penn Cancer.
I think we should do that too, because
No, I think it'd be great for everyone involved.
I've done that. We've done it in the past. We've done it on like football fields, but I used to do it in the summertime up here, and it's like the best event you can possibly do. So let's start planning it. I'll definitely be down there for that one, and you know, welcome Jack back to the mat, whatever weight you're going to be. Hopefully you'll be at like 160-ish or something like that. You bulk up over the.
We're going to fatten you up, Jack. We'll fatten you up. We'll get there. But yeah, that's a big plan. I think it'd be awesome. I think it, you know, get the junior Titans involved, like just the whole community involved. And, you know, again, it's wrestling down south is a little different. You know, it doesn't have as much attention on it as we would like for it to. And I think our program deserves as much recognition as it can get, especially this family, you know, for all the work Danny puts in with a lot of the junior program. We just have to keep it going through the high school, get more kids involved, have more kids understand the sport. There's a lot of misconceptions around the sport. And I think it's, you know, again, being a wrestling mom for as long as I've been, I can tell you right now, is the hardest sport out there and the best sport out there.
It's got to be hard for the moms. I remember watching my mom just going through hell, and I had two older sisters too, and like they did not enjoy any of it. Even when I wasn't even bad. I was good, but like wrestling in states and stuff like that, they didn't enjoy it. I can't imagine.
Every match. Last night we were at a duel every match. I'm like, I told everybody tonight, tomorrow night, get ready to yell, because I'm going to be down on the bleachers making sure the pins are called. You know, yeah. I'm that mom that's like pounding on the bleachers, making sure he calls the pin. We've had too many close calls this year. So But yeah, but that's what makes the sport great. And just thank you for, responding, for getting back, for being in constant communication too, because none of this would have been possible without you as well. And
Thank you.
I just think, God does work in mysterious ways. And I do think that he literally aligned all of this to happen the way it was meant to happen. And I truly believe that. And I think, the best celebration, I can't wait, is going to be for Jack to be back on that mat. Because it has been, we've missed watching him. Like, he's just fun to watch.
We're going to have to do if you have the production, you're in a production studio, and so you have to have maybe some editing skills. We should do a really cool promo for you to come back, and we'll play it. We'll do it out in the lacrosse field. We'll put the mat up there and do t-shirts. Oh, you guys have t-shirts coming. Hopefully they get there by
Yeah, we have t-shirts coming. I'm praying that they're going to be here in time.
I think they will be. They should be there.
I'm very hopeful that they will be. But yeah, I think it'd be awesome. To do it. I mean, I just in my head, I have what I want it to look like and what it's going to look like. You got the walk-up songs, everything else, but
we got to do it.
I mean, I've got WWE in my head. Well, and it's funny too, because down here as well, what's his name? Cody Rhodes.
Okay, yeah.
He went to our local high school here. So he's
don't tell my
guy.
son that. We just played some WWE on Xbox. He loves it, and he loves Cody
Think
Rhodes.
of how cool that would be if we could get him here. How awesome would that be for him to open it up?
You're setting the bar extremely high, but that's the way to do it. That's how the wrestling community does it. That's awesome to hear. Well, let's definitely plan it. I will definitely fly down for that one for sure. And we could set something up and have a big celebration and watch Jack go out there. And you pin cancer, right? So now you got to pin your first opponent. You have to.
You just have to. Just make it exciting. Get it to the third period and then just take them out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for joining me. Is there anything else that you guys want to touch on?
I wouldn't mind touching on the idea that just the BT community here has been great. I mean, Chrissy, but then all the faculty, staff, the constant prayers that people are offering for us. It's amazing. We as a family have certainly felt that. I would say that you can't say there's benefits to cancer, but one of the benefits has been the number of game nights we've had as a family has just jumped drastically just because of the refocus that the cancer has actually caused us to do. And so that has been a true blessing.
Yeah, they're like blessings in disguise, right? And sometimes the world we live in right now is just a little chaotic, and you're always on the run and you're busy, and something like this happens, and you kind of pull back and really understand what's important in life, and what your priorities should be. And I'm happy to hear you guys have you received positive news, and it's brought your family probably together or a lot tighter. And what kind of games are you guys playing?
You want
Lots of board games. There's this one we like to play called Bang. It's a dice game, cowboy style dice game basically.
Okay.
And then chess. I love chess.
Very cool. I got my little guy playing checkers. He loves it.
there you go.
Yeah. Well, again, yeah. Anything else you guys want to say?
I'm good. I mean, I can't remember.
Well, I want to say thank you, Jack, especially for, opening up and sharing your story. We're gonna share this and hopefully, your story being a positive one, and really what you went through could potentially, help somebody else that's going through it right now, because there are a lot of people going through this, and I'm sure there's a lot more, wrestlers that we even know about that are probably going through something like this. So I want to thank you for doing it. And Chrissy, thank you for, reaching out. I'm glad I was down at Super 32 and we were able to connect. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. And, this is why I do what I do. I really, truly love doing it. I'm so happy that we started donating our funds directly to families instead of, beneficiaries that kind of gets lost in the mix. This is so much better because I'm not getting on calls with St. Jude or anything like that. But again, yeah, and to the parents, thank you so much. And I'm going to look forward to your big WWE in Cancer Night coming back in Georgia. I'm going to be there for sure.
Oh, that'd be awesome, Dan.
Great.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.